Welcome back to the Cabin Podcast. I'm Andrea Belke.
And I'm Megan Christian.
The Cabin is brought to you by the Wisconsin Counties Association and the WCA Group Health Trust. And today we are talking all about road trips because it's the perfect time to start planning your ultimate Wisconsin road trip.
Yeah, today we have on our beloved Eric Paulson. Welcome back to the Cabin,
Hello.
Eric.
Good to be here. Good to be back. Boy, you added some light to the place and some HVAC.
We did. Do you like the camera angles?
I do. We'll see when I see it, actually.
Yeah, you guys are getting a little bit different view of Eric here today. What have you been up to?
Oh, gosh. Nonstop work, nonstop road trips and checking things out. I have my State Trunk Tour road trip website,
Yes.
which is why I know the roads as well as I do. That's actually what got me in here all those years ago.
So I just found that out. So I knew you were coming in and listening to some of the old episodes of the Cabin, and I didn't realize that. So can you kind of tell us the story of how you started loving road trips and how it got you to discover Wisconsin?
Yeah, I always loved getting in the car. My dad worked for Ford growing up, and we were all about cars and then racing and then driving and exploring places. And I just loved hitting the road and seeing all the cool different things, especially in Wisconsin. I also grew up in Chicago and Detroit and Dallas, so you got used to taking road trips in other places and just exploring. And I like the pace of a road trip. Flying somewhere to a vacation is great, but a road trip, you're really exploring everything along the way. And that's half the fun, right? Getting there is half the fun.
Yeah.
So I just always loved that. And then what made me start the road trip website was I bought a hybrid car and I said, hey, should I save gas or just drive more miles? So I drove more miles.
I have a hybrid as well. So.
Yeah, they're great, right?
I'm out of the club on
and then I realized I could visit places, write about them, post about them. And this is really when I started it, Instagram wasn't around yet. So it was a website. Now it's a website with social. But I just realized I could deduct miles and, and the food and drink and have fun and write about it and maybe get some sponsors. And then I approached Discover Wisconsin with my theme, which is pick a road, a number, and follow it end to end and see everything along the way, like Route 66.
Yeah.
Just like there were a ton of them here.
I was going to say, that's like your special talent that amazes me every time because I'm so directionally challenged. But you could tell me how to get from here in Madison to like probably the island of La Pointe or the Madeline Island, town of La Pointe.
Yeah,
tell me every single road and ferry.
That would be 9094 up to Wisconsin Dells, and then you just follow Highway 13 all the way up.
Yeah.
Okay. Most simple.
That one seems pretty simple.
See, and me and Eric have hosted a couple shows together, and I remember we were in Marshfield, I think it was, and you were telling me like, oh, well, this is the easiest way to get back to Oconomowoc, and I was like, Eric, I just got to put my Apple Maps on. I don't know all these roads. So I'm like, special talent.
I got to show you something.
Oh, wow. Ooh, this is exciting. Okay, for people just listening, he's reaching into his bag. He's pulling something out.
This is how I used to get around. Speaking of Apple Maps, I use these.
Wow, that is an old school map.
This is called a paper map. This fit in somewhere between when navigators would use the stars to navigate a ship from one continent to another. Now you go Apple Maps, Google Maps, or whatever, but this was in between. And I consider this basically art that helps you get somewhere.
Yeah,
That's actually a cool way to look at it.
Because it's kind of pretty, right?
Do you still, for Wisconsin, you probably don't even need a map.
No, I kind of have a photographic memory, and this is why. So I can stare at this long enough and I can kind of picture it.
Okay.
That's how I know. I don't know why I walked into a certain room sometimes.
Yeah.
But I can tell you how to get from place to place picturing a map.
That's incredible. Yeah. And so, yeah, I've heard you talk about having a photographic memory. What does that entail? Can you actually look at something? How long do you have to look at something to then have it imprinted into your brain?
Depends on what it is, but if it's a map, it doesn't take long.
Really?
It's just an acumen I have for it.
Yeah.
Wow.
One example, too, if I'm going along a road I've been down 1,000 times, if they add a sign or take a sign away, I'll notice it.
Oh, yeah.
But my condo building, people stole 4 huge pictures off our lobby wall. I didn't notice.
It's because you don't care.
So it's
you
a
don't
weird,
feel like
yeah,
look
I
at
guess
it, you know?
that's how you,
Yeah.
so I must care a lot about roads.
Yeah.
I should go for transportation secretary one day.
I know. I have a pretty photographic memory, too, because when I did theater, that's how I would memorize my lines, is I would picture the pages in my brain.
Okay.
So
That's, yeah, and that helped me in school.
Yep.
Actually, for a while, I never learned how to study because I could just memorize. And then when I got to college and calculus showed up, no, not good.
Yeah, no, I'm not a math brain at all.
I think mine must be more sounds. I think that's how I can memorize, or acronyms.
I was going to say, you use a lot of mnemonic devices, right?
Yeah. But, oh man,
Try spelling mnemonic. It's not easy.
It starts with a P, I think, right?
Is it? Or I thought it was M. Oh, is it PM? PN?
PN?
Okay.
PN? I don't know.
Yeah.
That one I don't know.
Pneumatic?
Oh, I guess it is. Well, that's pneumatic. It starts with a P. Mnemonic devices, I think. Doesn't that start with an M?
We'll leave it to the viewers.
We'll let them chime in about that one.
Welcome to Spelling with Andrew, Megan, and guest Eric.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's give some of our listeners and viewers some ideas for this spring. Actually, now at this point, it'd be June. So
We're into the summer road trip season.
we are. So great time to plan your road trip. If someone hasn't done a road trip in Wisconsin and they want to kind of get into it, what's a starter road trip for people?
Well, I'll tell you, it depends on what section of the state you want to explore. There's no easy answer on some of these things. It's surprising how many cool little mini road trips, if you're like in Illinois, for example, and you want to come up and see a little bit of Wisconsin, but not go too far. This is a big state. You can road trip to so many cool places with a lot of cool history and a lot of cool sites just in southeastern Wisconsin, through Kenosha and Racine, Walworth counties up in towards Milwaukee. It's amazing. And there's so many like museums and breweries and distilleries, and there's barn quilt tours you can take.
I know. That's
that
fun.
cool?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
The Lake Michigan Circle Tour, you go right through Racine and Kenosha. I try to tell people the freeways are awesome for getting somewhere quickly, and there's bypasses on some of the main roads that go from town to town. Go through the towns.
Yeah, for
If
sure.
you're not in a hurry, go through the towns, check them out. You're going to come across so much cool history.
Yeah, Kenosha and Racine are great areas too. Great food there. Lake views cannot be beat.
It's almost as if you went to college in Kenosha,
Right?
right?
This podcast is genuinely just me shouting out my hometown and my college town constantly, but it's fine, whatever.
But it's, like if somebody named a couple of things they wanted to do in a couple of places they wanted to see, I could map out a road trip for them pretty quick.
Okay, let's say you want to do an outdoorsy road trip, a place where you can hit a couple of really cool towns and also do some really good camping.
Well, let's see. If you wanted to be southeast, for example, you could hit up Racine and Kenosha, but then head out Highway 11, Highway 142, about where they come close to each other. You go to the place that is referenced by one of the most famous signs in the state, and that is the Bong Recreation Area.
Yeah, I've driven past it many times.
Yes. Now it's fascinating. It's great for camping and hiking. It's a big open space. There's some woods and everything in there, but there's a lot of open space and wild prairie there because that was originally going to be an Air Force base. They actually plowed up a bunch of farmland, tried to start building an airport, and then they canceled it in like 1959. So they left it for a while, and in the 70s, they turned it into a recreation area. But that's a huge state recreation area that's underrated that I highly recommend. But then you've got the Mars Cheese Castle just down the road.
Oh, you got to get the crown while you're there.
Get a grilled cheese sandwich, go into the bar. They have a great Bloody Mary there. And they actually have a crock of their King of Clubs cheddar spread, which is, there's a lot of great cheese spreads in this state. That's one of the best, I would say. It's very creamy. And then they've got a whole wheel of Townhouse crackers that surrounds this thing, and people just pass it around. They brought it back after COVID and went full away. So I'm very happy about that. And if you're into cheese spreads, you could do a cheese spread tour, for crying out loud. You can go from Mars Cheese Castle to Merck's in Bristol. They're right down the road. That's along US 45, just south of 50. And in between, you have the Brat Stop. So you can get your sausages and your cheese in one brief tour and then go back to the Bong Recreation Area. Now, some people think if they go to the Bong Recreation Area, they're going to end up with the munchies. No, it was named after Richard Bong, who was a World War, I think, I flying ace.
Okay. I was curious what the name meant. I'm just going with it.
Now, he's from Superior originally. If you wanted to do a Northwest Wisconsin trip with a lot of state parks and cool outdoorsy stuff, you're in a great spot near Superior because Highway 35, which goes all the way up the west coast of the state, including the Great River Road, we'll talk about that in a bit. The northern stretch of 35 goes right through Pattison State Park on its way to Superior. And it's about 15 miles south of the city, but if you're just north of the state park, you're on a ridge. You can see all the way to Superior and Duluth and the whole southern piece of Lake Superior. So the landscape is beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
But inside Pattison, there's great camping and great trails. But there's also the highest waterfall in the state.
165 feet, I believe.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Same height as what major waterfall?
Oh, shoot. No, isn't it taller than Niagara Falls?
No, it's about the same height.
About the same height. Okay.
Less water volume.
Yeah.
But still, it's tall and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then there's Little Manitou, which is actually a twin falls.
Yes.
And to be able to explore all of that is phenomenal. But then just to the east, if you go, that's south of Superior, if you go just east, Amnicon Falls State Park. If you want to go waterfalling, one of the best. And it's just the way the rivers flow when they go into Lake Superior. They're going over all of this heavy rock. I mean, there's like iron and rock and all.
Yeah.
There's not much farmland right there for a reason.
Yeah.
But if you want to take lovely trail walks, you can. And then all you have to do is take 35 in or highways 2 and 53 in, and you go to Superior, which has the Bong Bridge. They have the SS Meteor, which is a fantastic old school ship that was built, 120 years ago. We filmed on that. You can take a tour. You can go to the Fairlawn Mansion, which is where the Pattison who the state park is named after.
Yes.
He got rich off of iron and lumber and everything. That's his mansion. And they've done an amazing job on Tower Avenue in Superior. Superior doesn't really have a downtown per se.
Yeah.
You know,
More
there's
so
Yeah,
just
I
like
like that.
places to
There's
hop
like-
around.
there's a couple of main drags, but nothing. There's no
Yeah.
cluster of buildings.
Yeah.
Although at the corner of 2 and 35, the Globe News. You ever go there?
I haven't. No.
It's a beautiful. There's a lot of beautiful buildings in Superior, and that place. It's like a newspaper stand. Do I have to explain what a newspaper is now?
No, I think we know.
No, I think we're
Comic
good
book
there.
store, record store, like original vinyl and everything. And that's the main corner of Superior.
Yeah.
But you go further north, you've got the Anchor Bar, which is famous for their burgers. And there's 2 great breweries there. You have the Thirsty Pagan, which is in the old Sioux Line train station. And then you have Earth Rider, which is the northwesternmost brewery and maybe building in the state.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's industrial stuff
Yeah.
and then the water.
Well, in Earth Rider, we covered some of our favorite breweries in the state recently. And that one is one of my favorites because it's just kind of set on this industrial little area right by the river.
gritty.
It's gritty. Yeah. It's really cool.
Did you do part of an episode there? I was
Yeah.
like, I have seen footage from Earth Rider
Yeah.
before,
Yeah,
for
it's cool.
sure.
I filmed there too, actually.
Yeah.
What was the purpose? The episode was about Superior, but there was some other theme with it too. But we stopped in Anchor Bar and had a burger. In fact,
Yep.
I did this whole Guy Fieri thing out front. Got a lot of strange stares from people, and they didn't put it in the episode, but I know it's somewhere.
Wait,
I want to see this footage.
What did you
Yeah, I
do?
need to know.
I mean, now you may as well.
I did
like,
some
right-
mocking. I don't remember exactly what it said. It was something along the lines of, hey folks, I'm checking out this great burger place here in Superior, Wisconsin. And I make millions of dollars doing it, which is cool because some dudes do it and they might make a couple hundred, but they get the free burger. Let's go check it out.
There's actually
Why
quite
did
a
they
few
leave
places.
that on the cutting room floor?
There's supposedly a folder full of cutting room floor stuff that I don't. Are you aware of any of this, Nick?
I am. I
Okay.
think I've added to that folder.
Sweet.
I'm going to get the file back.
I'm really looking forward to seeing what's in there, because the editors have so much spare time to work on such things.
Yeah, I know. They have like a couple little snippets of me like making faces, judging, because you know how I am very say everything with my eyes, my mouth, and my nose. So I'll just
What
be
else
like,
would you say it
But
with?
sometimes we'll have sometimes we'll do a whole bit and you think it's God, this is gonna be so good. And then you see the
watch
episode
it
and you're
back.
like, wait, why did you leave it out?
Oh, yeah. I remember one of my favorite, I know this is a slight aside, but we road tripped to Marinette, which is northeast Wisconsin. We're going to all the extreme corners here for starters. And Marinette's beautiful if you love waterfalls too. But we did an episode where we did whitewater rafting on the Menominee River. We did kayaking on the Peshtigo River. This was with Wild Man Adventure Resort. Shout out to them. They're awesome. And we did a climbing tower, those big outdoor climbing towers. Y'all have scaled those, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, believe it or not, I did too. They strapped 4 GoPros to me.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Top of the head, wrist, chest, and ankle.
Okay.
And I managed to scale the whole thing and get to the top, which is I said only all the kids do it. About a third of adults make it up there. But no one ever did it with 4 GoPros on them. And I
made
stood
history.
there very dry mouthed. And they're like, okay, now the drone's going to go wave at it. And so I did all that. And then they cut the whole thing for time. So it happens.
I know.
Doesn't
It
it?
does happen. It
Oh, but
does.
speaking of waterfalls, because you kind of mentioned a few, there is like a waterfall tour kind of up in northern Wisconsin?
There are several. Northwestern Wisconsin is great for a bunch of them. In fact, we're going to mention Sisquot Falls, which is near Cornucopia in a little bit. Then Amnicon Falls in Pattison. And we're also going to mention this a little bit later on, Potato Falls and Copper Falls.
Yes.
And Copper Falls State Park, actually, near Mellon, is phenomenal. If you do a drive that consists of highways 13 and 2, you can reach all of those pretty much.
Yeah.
And 169, which is a little offshoot that connects 13 and 2 northeast from Mellon. And yeah, it depends on how many waterfalls you want to hit and how much time you have, but you can map out a custom trip that takes one afternoon, or you can make it a 3-4 day weekend.
Yeah, there's so many waterfalls in Wisconsin.
Yeah, and that would be a great idea for someone that hasn't done a road trip. Maybe kind of hit all the waterfalls, find some cute little towns to stop in. I think that's a great and like pretty simple road trip to do.
Yeah.
It is. And, you know, if you're in the North Woods or Northwestern Wisconsin, the towns are a lot further apart on average. You have to plan for that.
Yeah.
You know, down here, we've got about every 6 miles, there's a town.
Yeah.
And that's just the legacy of us having farms.
Yeah.
And the density of the farms necessitated a town. Boy, it's a good thing I'm not in broadcasting. Necessitated a town about every 6 miles. And that's why our layout's the way it is.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of
Let's
interesting.
say you had to pick a state park in each region of Wisconsin. What are the ones you would pick, and how would you map that out for someone for a road trip?
Like connecting all the state parks across the entire state,
If you had to pick one from each region.
but connecting them.
Yep.
Oh boy. All right. Which side do you want to start with?
Let's start southeast, because I think that's where a lot of people, if they're coming up from Illinois, Indiana, that's where they're going to start.
Okay. It has to be a state park, not a state recreation area.
You can do that
or
too. I'll let you pick one of those
Oh
too.
boy, for a state park. One of the funny ones, if you want to start in downtown Milwaukee, Hank Aaron State or Lakeshore State Park
Yeah.
is basically the Summerfest crowd.
Yeah.
That's a state park you don't even need a sticker to get to. And that's right downtown. I would actually say Lapham Peak, which is a state forest unit, part of Kettle Moraine,
Yep.
is a great place to start because we're not known for landforms much in southeast Wisconsin, but the very southern end of the Niagara Escarpment is what Kettle Moraine is. And that's a great area to start. You get to the tallest point in Waukesha County, which has a great climbing tower. You can see downtown Milwaukee from there.
Yeah, the tower is really cool there.
And you can see Holy Hill
Yep.
up in Washington County. And the very first National Weather Service forecast was received on Lapham Peak.
Oh, cool.
They sent it from Pikes Peak, Colorado, and then sent it to Lapham Peak. Increase Lapham is the guy it was named for. Increase was a popular boy's name in the 1800s.
Yeah. Well,
What?
Lapham was the name of my
Increase.
road.
Increase.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You grew up near Lapham.
Yep.
Yeah.
Increase spelled like I-N-C-R-E-A-S-E.
The guy's name was Increase. Yeah. It's a more confidence-inspiring name than Decrease, I suppose.
Increase.
yeah.
I might bring it back.
Increase Lapham is his name.
That's going to be your first child's name.
Yeah. Increase Belky. Just wait for it.
Somehow that flows.
I know. It sounds
Actually.
good. It's a strong name.
So, yeah, if you're coming up, for example, from Chicago, right, or even Minneapolis, 94, it's right off I-94. County C, Delafield.
Yep.
It's maybe a mile and a half off the road.
Yeah, they have a few trails around there too,
have a-
besides just the one that leads to the Lookout Tower.
Yes, there's a lot of great trails through there. A lot of them are circular, and there's a west side and an east side. One's great for cross-country skiing.
Yep.
And so I highly recommend Lapham Peak. And then Delafield right there, right up the street, charming town.
Yes.
A lot of cool stuff. And they just got a new brewery, Voodoo Brewing, which is actually, they have several locations around the country.
Is that
It's one of
Voodoo
those.
Ranger? Is it that
No,
one or
it's just
separate?
Voodoo Brewing. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
I did a dry April. Don't ask me why. And
You know what's funny about this? Before you say the rest of that, it's dry April, and I ran into Eric at the bar the minute it was over.
Oh, really?
yeah, we saw each other May 1st.
It was so funny. He's like, dry April's over.
But you completed it?
No problem. You know, NA beers are good. And yeah, it was no problem, which was actually comforting now that I think about it. But yeah, so I did that. I think I lost 3 pounds,
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah. But May 1st,
But it was
back
fun.
at it.
May 1st, I'm like, let's
April
enjoy
is a
it.
more convenient time of year than January, for sure.
It is. January, the weather's cold. You're coming off the holidays. Why deprive yourself?
Yep.
April, February, you have Valentine's Day. March, you have March Madness, St. Patrick's Day. April, what? You have taxes.
Yep.
which, depending.
Yeah.
But if you're going to pick a month, that's the month.
Okay.
Because if refraining from any alcoholic beverage makes your skin look better, it helps you lose weight, helps you. I didn't get much of a change. Also probably kind of comforting. But if you're going to really prep for the warm weather months, April's the month to do it.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
So, and I had there's so many new breweries that keep opening up and wineries and distilleries across the state and, some museums and stuff. So my list just keeps growing for road trip stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now I haven't been to Voodoo yet in Delafield, partially because my list is so long.
I'll have to check that one out for sure.
It's very cool. And so Lapham Peak's very conveniently located. If you wanted to want to go northeast first, then I would say we're going each corner of the state.
Yeah.
And
then end in Central, maybe.
Okay, sounds good to me. We go 94 into Milwaukee and up 43. You go into Door County.
For sure.
I mean, there's so many good state parks. Actually, along the way, too. I mean, there's Harrington and Kohler Andre and Sheboygan, which is a great stop because they have dunes there.
Yeah.
Great sand dunes. Indiana Dunes is a national lake shore on the southeast side of Lake Michigan. This is as close as we get.
Yeah.
And you have the wooden walkways and the boardwalks and everything. So that's a good stop. But I would say if you're going to go to Door County, because we got to go to the extremes, right?
Yes.
Peninsula is the state park.
Yep.
If you want not loneliness, if you want serenity
Secludedness.
and dark sky.
Sometimes I do want some loneliness.
Yeah, that's the thing. It depends on what you want.
Which one's the one that's like a certified dark spot for star viewing?
Newport, the one I was just going to go there.
Okay.
It's at the tip of the peninsula on the Lake Michigan side, close to the tip, right off 42. But Peninsula is the big one.
Yep.
They have the Eagle Tower, which is a fantastic lookout with a beautiful view of Eagle Harbor and Ephraim. And it's, if you want to talk, what do they call it? ADA accessible, handicap accessible, whatever you want to call it. They rebuilt that to some new specs, and the ramp that goes up there is incredible.
Yeah.
It's great. Also, when you're in Ephraim, that's where Anderson Dock is,
Yes.
right? I freaking love Anderson Dock. Do you
I
know?
love Ephraim in general. I used to go every year for my birthday.
Yeah.
And it was
Anderson
amazing.
Dock is that the building where everyone writes their names.
It's across the harbor from where Peninsula State Park and Eagle Tower is.
Yeah.
And it's super charming.
Yep.
It's the only spot in Door County where I see graffiti.
I know, and
supposed to be there.
I think it's so beautiful, and I also just love kind of seeing all the names and thinking about or wondering where these people are.
Yeah.
Because it's all, you're
That's
right.
kind of a cool
Hank
thing
and
to check off your bucket
Ginny.
list, too.
It's like, where are Hank and Jenny now?
There's many
Right?
stories.
I know.
I know. It kind of reminds me of the lock bridges, too, which is really cool.
Before we go any further, though, I want to talk about our sponsors. So the Cabin is brought to you by the Wisconsin Counties Association. This week, we are featuring Bayfield County, which
Nice.
is, I would say, Megan's favorite county, right?
One of them. I can't play favorites, I guess, because I love Waukesha County, too. But so much fun stuff to do up there. You have 21 of the Apostle Islands, which is amazing, excluding Madeline Island, which is probably the most well-known one. But you got Basswood Island up there. I did a great hike on there. Raspberry Island, which is such a cute name for an Apostle Island. I don't know. I mean, you've been to Bayfield, right, Eric?
Yeah, actually, I kayaked around Devil's Island.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the northernmost one. And it's, it's like you, the kayak, and then nothing but Lake Superior for 50 miles.
Right?
It's wild. I was lucky, though. The lake was gentle. It was 66-degree water, an 80-degree day. And that's not every day up there.
No, I mean, you can do the Sea Cave kayak tours, too, which is totally on my bucket list. I've seen the Sea Caves. I want to go in the winter, too, because they're supposed to be so cool looking. But it's been shut down for quite a few years just because it hasn't gotten cold enough. Hopefully, maybe this year they'll freeze back up.
First Tribal National Park is there, too.
Oh,
It's also the berry capital of Wisconsin.
It's up there. It's got to be. They have a brief maritime climate. That's why there's a lot of wineries up on the hills.
Yeah, they have this
Orchards, too.
microclimate that allows for fruits and berries to flourish on the land. That's really cool. Little history. It was founded in 1856. Named after Henry Bayfield, a British royal engineer who explored the region in 1822 and 1823.
they also have Apostle Highlands Golf Course, which if you're a golf enthusiast, you have to check out.
There's so much to do in Bayfield County. To plan your visit, go to wicounties.org. The Cabin is also brought to you by the WCA Group Health Trust. Serving local governments and school districts, the WCA Group Health Trust partners closely with members to fulfill their employee health benefit obligations in a fiscally responsible manner. Learn more at WCAGHT.org. Okay, other areas. Let's go to the west a little bit.
Yes, we'll go west. We'll go, I already mentioned Pattison and Amnicon Falls State Park. So I guess I'll blend it into what we're going to be talking about with an episode coming up.
Yeah.
Copper Falls State Park, which is, it's not in a corner. It's in the interior a bit, but it's far enough northwest where I think it counts. Mm-hmm. And you have in Copper Falls State Park a number of beautiful waterfalls, Copper Falls being the main. But, there's some significant drops. There's significant volume of water. The Bad River runs through it, and it looks so pure and pristine. It looks like one of those beer commercials from the 70s when they would talk about the land of sky blue waters.
Yeah.
I think that was Hamm's, actually. That's a Minnesota beer, but I digress. But there's a lot of great walking trails and bluffs in there, and you could get lost in there for a long time. And I'm saying that in a good way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Copper Falls, just northeast of Mellon off 169, highly recommend. It's basically in southern Ashland County. And if you were going to head to the southwestern part of the state after that, now 42 around through Green Bay, then you'd go up. Yeah, you go over on US 8 from there west, and then you can go up Highway 13. Mm-hmm. And that would bring you to Mellon, and then Highway 169 to the entrance.
I just still don't understand how you can do that.
And actually from there, you know what? What's funny is you can pop right back down to US 8 and head west to the Minnesota border. And at St. Croix Falls, Interstate State Park is right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which also, St. Croix, not waterfalls per se, but the beautiful rushing river between the rocks and the bluffs and the outcroppings is unreal. It's gorgeous. And then if you go south along the Great River Road, then you can head towards the southwest corner of the state, Wyalusing State Park, which, boy, it's at least in my top 3. Mm-hmm. It's perched just south of Prairie du Chien, right where the Wisconsin River meets the Mississippi. And you can camp on sites that are directly above where the rivers meet. You're 500-600 feet up.
Wow.
And it's like if you get up at 3 a.m. to answer nature's call, for example,
Okay.
watch where you're going, because you might drop 600 feet.
Wow.
It's not like there's a fence.
Yeah.
And so the views are beautiful. Just orient yourself well.
Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned top 3. So I know it's going to be hard to decide, but give me your top 3 road trip ideas or destinations.
Well, let's see. I'm not going to have anything crazy because I can give you 20 ideas, but you have to do the Great River Road. It's one of the great drives, not in Wisconsin, but in the nation, or on the continent, I should say. California Highway 1 might be the only prettier road trip. And it's just the way it hugs the Mississippi. It's mostly Highway 35. It's a couple of offshoots at times. But the way it hugs the river, the way the bluffs frame everything, you're away from it all. The only large city is La Crosse, and that's a beautiful city. And there's so much to do there.
Yeah.
It's a great place to stay, because if you have south of La Crosse and north of La Crosse, that's at least 2 complete days. You could easily make it a 4-day weekend and still not see everything.
Yeah.
So just follow Great River Road, WIGRR.org. I think Wisconsin Great River Road is a great site. I have, of course, my site on State Trunk Tour. Discover Wisconsin has one because we've done episodes on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Door County Scenic Byway is another one. It's a 66-mile loop of 42 and 57. You hit all those state parks. You go through Sturgeon Bay, and you get to see. It's cool on the peninsula because you're never far away from water, and you've got a lakeside and you've got a bayside. So you get sunrise over the water and sunset over the water within minutes. And it's a great time in the summer to go because, it's busy. There's a lot of people. That's fun and bustling. But in the off season, that's even better because if you want a little serenity,
Yep.
Yeah.
Door County still has it in the winter and in the spring.
Absolutely.
And then another, let's see, what would be a really good, there's a great way you can do some golfing and some cranberry bogging. I'm just pulling one out of nowhere. But if you head up or down, I always think people are coming from the south, but people are coming from all kinds of directions. If you start around, say, Wausau or Stevens Point off I-39 and you head west and you go through the rapids, for example, and like Wood County, which has a lot of great parks. We filmed there.
Amazing camping there.
In Wood County and then west into Jackson County, if you follow Highway 54, for example, you're going to see so many amazing cranberry bogs in the fall.
Yep.
And it's just a landscape of beautiful reds. And you have these cool little towns. You have Nakusa and Port Edwards and the Rapids.
Yep.
And if you stop in those towns, there's a ton of things to see and do. There's some great history. Historic Point, it's either Bass or Bosse, B-A-S-S-E. I don't say it out loud enough, I guess. In Wisconsin Rapids, you have Two Doors Down Brewing, which is a relatively new place to enjoy a beverage. And then you go to Marshfield.
Just not in April.
Well, correct. If you're me, once in April. And then Marshfield's also a really cool city.
Yeah.
They call it Hub City for a reason. All the railroads used to congregate there. Now a lot of the roads do. And so there you have a lot of great lodging. You have a park with Kodiak bears and Wildwood Zoo. Central Wisconsin State Fair is there. They have the world's largest round barn. I'm a sucker for world's largest stuff. And Jurassic Park, if you like art sculpture, metal sculpture, Jurassic Park will blow your mind.
Yeah.
And this is all, if you use a combination of roads 13, 54, and 97, you'll hit it all.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. We are actually running out of time, but we want to do a quick game. So we have some very simple road trip questions, kind of like a rapid fire. So you can
Okay.
pick them out, answer them, and then move on to the next
Am I picking one at a time?
one at a
Yes.
time. Yeah.
Favorite roadside attraction? Wow. You have kids with you or no?
Let's say sure. Yes.
Okay. It's because it's hard to pick a favorite, but I talked about Jurassic Park, which is this amazing park near Marshfield, and they have a little art walk downtown. There's another crazy one called Dr. Evermore's Sculpture Garden. It's along US 12, just north of Sauk City. And right before the Baraboo Hills, and you will come across the craziest concoctions it's so hard to describe. I have pictures on my site, but if you want to stumble across something crazy or blow somebody's mind or make kids go, whoa, you have to see this crazy Dr. Evermore's sculpture
I think
place.
you told me about this actually before, because I was going to see if I could hit it on the way to one of my filming.
There's a main piece that was designed to draw aliens in.
Ooh, we love aliens.
We love
This
aliens.
Huge, it's
yeah.
probably 40 feet high and it's all metal. It's just so crazy. So I'd have to say that best gas station or rest stop in Wisconsin. See, I wasn't prepped for these, so I didn't have anything top of mind. The best gas station. From a chain standpoint, I would have to say Quick Trips,
Yeah,
of course.
Right.
Does it have to be functional?
Nope.
I love one in Independence, Wisconsin, which is along highways 93 and 121. And it's an old school gas station with old Texaco pumps.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like it's straight out of the 1930s. And I love driving by that place. It's very Instagrammable.
Yeah.
As the kids like to say. And
Hey, you're on the gram. You're on the gram.
there's a lot of cool stops and stations, though. So I'd probably think of several more.
Graham, Andrea?
That's what are we three different? I'm millennial, or what are you?
I would be Generation X.
Okay. And then we got
Z.
Yeah. Nick, what you're a
Superior
millennial?
generation.
Oh yeah. The best.
Oh,
Wrong.
representing. We just got to get a boomer in here now.
Yeah.
Favorite road trip game? Boy, I take things so seriously. I don't play games on
Really?
road trips.
You never play the silent game?
But
That's what my parents would always play with me.
is that where you ask
Let's play the silent game.
Yeah, yeah.
You basically just have to be quiet, and you think it's fun when you're a kid, but really it's your parents' way to get you to shut up.
it could be count the signs. Like, how many signs do you see for Cave in the Mountains? How many signs do you see for Nicolay Law with the beard?
I just hung out with that guy like 3 nights ago. Yeah, we couldn't go anywhere. We were in Milwaukee and we were hanging out with
Okay.
him. No, this guy can't go to any bar. Everyone knows him.
He's very recognizable.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would
If he
recognize
shaved.
him. Yeah, if
Imagine.
he shaved, it'd be.
He's actually a very
donezo.
nice guy. Shout out.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it. I've
Yeah.
never met him personally.
My favorite road trip game is going through the alphabet and picking something from each. Like,
Do you see a
start
sign?
at A.
Yep.
I see sign for Amnicon Falls.
Yep. A,
you
yep.
know?
I like
Yeah.
that too.
That's a good one, too, but it gets a little tricky around X and Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah, you kind of gotta just skip.
X-rays
over.
ahead.
I'd go by Marshfield Clinic.
Yeah, there you go.
Favorite road trip snack? I'd say Wisconsin meat and cheese sticks.
Yeah.
From where?
Boy, Pernat's is one of my favorites.
I love Pernat's. I know the family. They're great.
Oh, I'd love to meet them someday.
Yeah.
Wenzel's is really good. I think they're out of Marshfield, or they're packaged in Marshfield. That's a big, popular Wisconsin brand. Old Wisconsin sticks. Johnsonville makes some good ones now. They've got snacking summer sausage to go. Those things, especially if you have a cooler with you, are great road trip snacks. And then the others, just the sleeves of nuts, and then Wisconsin cheese curds.
Yep.
Again, it's good to have a cooler. But if you could stop at Car Valley or Kramer's, you get some curds for the road. You're happy. It's good protein. It's good calcium.
I love beef sticks and beef jerky. I'm lactose intolerant, so I got to bring my Lactaid if I'm going the cheese route. But, but I love cheese.
Still waiting on that sponsorship.
That's tricky when you're from Wisconsin and you're lactose intolerant.
But Lactaid is honestly, it saves you. Like you can then just have as much Lactaid as you want and then have as much cheese as you want. And then the last thing is you actually have an episode coming out this weekend. So we're going to do a little BTS. It is sponsored by Enbridge, right?
Yep, funded by Enbridge. And you got to kind of head up to Northwest Wisconsin and do a few things. So do you want to talk about that?
They do a good job helping us showcase all the natural beauty up there and what they have. And in a way, I'm kind of going to repeat myself a little because we brought up half the stuff we've already visited. But we hit some of those state parks and some of those waterfalls, Copper Falls. Another one that I didn't mention further up Highway 169, closer to Gurney, which is by US 2, Potato Falls.
Yeah.
Which is actually a couple of different waterfalls, but fan-frickin-tastic. So beautiful. And the vantage points, you can just sit on these high rocks and get this amazing view. And I mean, when we were filming, we did the drone shots and everything. So drones are so amazing for capturing incredible perspective shots and sweeping shots of things.
Yeah.
We also checked out Sisquit Falls, which is in Bayfield County by Cornucopia.
Yep.
And oh, by the way, a little hidden gem along 13 in Cornucopia by Sisquit Falls, Ayler's General Store. It looks like really kind of from the outside, like it's just a big wall with the name on it. You go in there, best chicken salad curry sandwich I've ever had in my life.
That's so specific.
Thumb, right? Yeah. And then in other episodes, we follow some trails. And then we also explore in a little more detail Mellon.
Yeah.
There's only 2 cities in Ashland County. Ashland County is huge, especially north to south. City of Ashland, beautiful city on the bay. And then Mellon, which is in the southern end. They're both connected by Highway 13, which is a great drive up there.
Yeah.
And we checked out Mellon City Hall, which was built in, I think, 1896. Charming building with a beautiful bell that I got to ring.
Nice.
And that sucker's loud when you're under it.
Yeah.
And then they had, just through the history of the building, which had a library, it had a basketball court on the upper floor. It's this little building. They play basketball up there. And so there's a ton of great memorabilia there. There's a couple of newer bars and restaurants that were opening. And they're redeveloping a park. So we talked with them about that. And they have a really cool little library that has some unique features for the kids. And it's a very small community, but there's a lot of civic pride there.
Yeah.
And so we got to talk with people about that. And you got to love nature if you're in Mellon. I mean, you've got Copper Falls State Park right there. There's a beautiful drive. If you want to go to Hayward or any of those other places, it's a long drive, but you go through the middle of the woods and see there's elk crossing signs up there.
Yeah, that is one of the coolest parts about Wisconsin is that we have elk here.
That blows my mind, quite honestly. Because
a lot of people will drive to Colorado to see them.
No, that actually blows my mind. The fact that I was born and raised here, I grew up, spent a lot of time in Wisconsin, and then sometimes I'll find out about an animal I didn't realize was here. I didn't realize the porcupine was here, and then I saw it in Door County.
Really?
You saw one?
Yeah, and I saw one in Door County. I think it was
gosh.
probably close to like Fish Creek or something.
Okay.
Have you seen a porcupine?
I've seen one in, was it in the wild or in a zoo?
Well, they're in Wisconsin. You know they're in Wisconsin. Right?
Yeah, I do know that.
But I actually did. I mean, the elk, that there's elk in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Pelicans now, too.
What?
Pelicans.
Get out of here. Flamingos, too.
Yeah, I was just going to bring up the great flamingo incident.
Yeah.
Where they'll come up in a hurricane or something, right?
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to find in this state.
Well, actually, though, Andrea, at some restaurants in Wisconsin, they'll serve like elk that was killed in Wisconsin.
I just still can't believe that there's elk. Well, and wolves, too. That was kind of a weird one. I'm like, there are wolves here. Yeah.
Yeah, that does.
Well, there's moose in the UP, and some of them, sometimes they come down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's far northern Wisconsin, but...
And also some big cats. Have you seen any big cats?
Like which kind?
Well, there's always like the rumors and the tall tales that there's
I remember the Milwaukee lion.
No, there has been like a cougar spotted in Jefferson County before.
Yeah.
We got
Actually, I
an
saw a
alert.
cougar at Splash the other night.
Okay.
Another one for the folder.
All right, I do want to mention the Barons of Northwest Wisconsin also. So in this episode funded by Enbridge, they also got to speak to Forester Mike Amon and his mission to inform the public on the importance of the Barren conservation. So that's a really cool little nature area to see. Lots of different landscapes that you don't normally see in Wisconsin. So another thing to look forward to. Are you hungry?
Can you hear that?
I did hear that.
I apologize.
It's okay.
I can hear.
know?
Yeah, Eric's stomach is
I'm like,
growling.
do
So
I
I think
Mine is also
Do
growling.
I grab lunch
so I think
before
that's
this or
our plan.
after? And I chose
Well, you know
after.
what? It's your lucky day because I think we're about wrapped up.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add about this episode?
No, I'm up to 8 double entendres. That's enough. I think.
Yeah, I think.
Where can
no,
people
there's-
find your state trunk?
Yeah, if you go to statetrunktour.com, it's basically the theme is following a number. You pick a route and following it end to end. But I have a lot of features on different attractions and points of interest, quirky stuff, the world's largest. There's so many weird world's first and world's largest things in this state. And it's just part of the charm. You know, the world's largest talking cow in Neilsville. I mean, Chatty Bell, we talk about that.
Yeah.
And and I also keep up on events that are going on around the state. So
Yeah.
it's it's a good resource guide. You can follow State Trunk Tour on Instagram and we're on Facebook, and I should probably get on TikTok at some point.
Yeah, Megan can help you with that.
I
What
can
do you
help
think,
you out.
Z? Should I Gen Z? Should I do that?
I do think you should.
But also Trails, Towns, and Timeless Beauty, the episode that we were just talking about, will be out on broadcast this weekend. And if you're listening to this on Tuesday, it'll be streaming online tomorrow.
Yes. Thanks again, Eric, for coming in. It's great to have you back. You always
to be
have a home in
back.
the cabin. Hope you know. All right, cabin listeners, that is all we have for today, and we will see you next week. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. See all of our fun little clips if you don't feel like listening to the full episode, even though you should. Leave us a voicemail. We want to eventually do an episode where we kind of just answer all the voicemails and stuff. So that would be really cool. But other than that, we'll see you next time.
Bye. The Cabin is brought to you by Praise in the Pines. Step into a place where faith, music, and community come together in the beautiful Northwoods of Wisconsin. Saturday, July 19th, 2025 is your chance to be part of a powerful event full of worship with newsboys, plus inspiring messages and testimonies from dynamic speakers. Experience the transformative power of faith through real stories, heartfelt worship, and the joy of revival. This event is open to all, so bring your family and friends for an afternoon and evening to remember. Get your tickets today at praiseinthepines.org.
Spring is the season of renewal, and Lincoln County is the perfect place to experience it. Stroll along scenic trails surrounded by blooming wildflowers, kayak on serene waters, or take in the peaceful beauty of the Northwoods. Whether you're reconnecting with nature or exploring charming local towns, Lincoln County is your springtime escape. Lincoln County, where the Northwoods start and your adventure begins. Start planning your trip at www.co.lincoln.wi.us/.
Today's episode of The Cabin was hosted by Andrea Belke and Megan Christian and produced by Andrea Belke. Audio engineering by Nick Cardarella and video teasers by Andrea Belke and Megan Christian with social media by Megan Christian. The Cabin is a production brought to you by Discover MediaWorks. To learn more, head to discovermediaworks.com and don't forget to leave a review.